So, if you think about it, there is, in every tradition, the divine is known by many things, but always included among them is the Creator. Right? We live in an inherently created universe. Now, the definition of create is to bring something into being that did not exist before. So you've heard me talk about, when instead of calling the Big Bang, I've called it the Big Blossom. Right? Because poof, something happens and then things begin expanding, and they are expanding in such a way that there is more consciousness, more volition or will, more complexity at the level of matter. And so it's not like a big bang, it's a big blossom. By the time creation gets to us, human beings, we are co-creating. So there's already this tendency for the universe itself to be creative. And then we add our personal intention to that. And we become the co-creators of our lives. So if creation is to bring something into being that did not exist before, what is it that each of us are bringing into being? Anyone? It's a real question. It's not rhetorical. Ourselves, right? Imitation is suicide. Comparison is the death of joy. Right? So this person that is me, that is Chris Terry, can only create one thing, and that's me and my life. But something happens. Something happens where it's like we forget that. And we go from being about thriving and creating to about surviving. And so the way I want to talk about creativity and living in an inherently creative universe is to poke some holes in one of the primary things that I think stops us from living out loud, from living this big creative life. So the title of the talk today is The Art of Imperfection. Okay. Here we go. If life is inherently creative, and we are inherently creative, and something blocks that, but it's our true nature, then our job is to unblock the block, right? To get rid of the thing that helps us, that keeps us from being our natural selves. And so, what I want to tell you, and what I want you to walk away with, is the very thing that we do sometimes to try to get by is the only thing that we can do that stops the creative process. And that's to try to do it perfectly, to try to make no mistakes. Now, I don't want to see a show of hands, but I'm a recovering perfectionist. I'm the kid who went away to my room when it was time to know how to do something new and figured it all out, and then I came back out and did it as if I'd known how to do it all along, because Lord, I did not want you to see me not knowing how to do something or doing it imperfectly. But the truth of the matter is, do you know that life cannot continue if we don't make mistakes? Life cannot continue if we don't make mistakes. So where I want us to end up, the one thing I want you all to hear today is please go out there, live big enough to make mistakes. I promise you good will come of it. Okay, so I'm going to give you a definition of evolution. Evolution is a wildly self-transcending process. It has the utterly amazing capacity to go beyond what went before. So evolution is in part a process of transcendence, which incorporates what went before and then adds incredibly novel components. The drive to self-transcendence thus appears to be built into the very fabric of the cosmos itself. Now, probably a lot of people in here have taken a basic biology class. What is the process called by which one thing becomes something else? Anybody remember? I heard it over here. It's a mutation. What's a mutation? It's an oops. It's an evolutionary oops, isn't it? Right? So we go from reptiles to the next big thing, whatever. Okay. I wasn't that good at biology,
That's
really.
why you're a minister.
That's why I'm a minister, not a biologist. Right. But do you see what I'm saying? It's the even in the biological realm, it's a mutation or an error or an out of order, something that jumps us to the next something. Does that make sense? So if there were no mutations, we wouldn't be here. We wouldn't be here. Biology, life forms depend on oopses to come into being. And I don't think we're that different. We are convinced that getting it right is a matter of survival. Surrounded as we are by machines, we think that we must perform flawlessly to stay ahead of the game. An industrial age mentality keeps us all on the steep and narrow path of productivity. Unfortunately, thinking that being right will save us from being wrong is a misapprehension. While in the last decade we have labored to be as accurate as our machines, these same machines have been redesigned to be as impulsive as we are. Today, some of the most advanced electronic devices, from satellites to pacemakers, are engineered to be partly inconsistent, in accordance with the dramatic findings of chaos scientists. These complexity experts, as they are also called, believe that small errors can counteract the curse of the second law of thermodynamics, a well-established physics principle that dictates that everything in the universe must eventually cool down and decay. Today, in various fields, from space exploration to stock market predictions, computers are programmed to be quirky on purpose in an attempt to undo the slumping effects of universal entropy. Entropy is the second law of thermodynamics. One of the correlates of that says that this big blossom that happened is actually fizzling out, and that eventually the whole universe will decay. That's not good news to me. But there is some good news, and that's it. It's that introducing an element of error into a system actually reverses entropy. Now, some people call reverse entropy creativity. Take a moment to wonder at the uniqueness of the mistakes you're about to make. Feel the thrill as you buy that over-the-top, low-cut red dress. Be outrageous, slam the door. As you do so, remind yourself that your recklessness is nothing but the expression of a cosmic urge to challenge the general tendency of things to ebb toward a lukewarm and boring equilibrium. There is something inside of each one of us pushing against us to get out, and it's the new us. It's the evolved us. It's the us that is willing to take a bigger risk and laugh from a deeper place and cry a few more tears and love more completely. It's the us that's willing to take a risk to reach out to a neighbor or to start a new project or a new business or to take up painting or to have a baby. But our need to get it right all the time, to play it safe, gets in the way of that. You know, my brother-in-law used to tell me this phrase that I find myself using a lot. He's very much a father figure to me, and we have the corresponding love-hate relationship to prove it. He used to say, this isn't the Olympic trials, this is the Olympics. I'm 47, 46. I'm in my 40s. I'm past 45. And it's, I'm starting to get what he's talking about. This isn't the Olympic trials, this is the Olympics. And while in the past I have stayed cocooned up in a safe place, the part of me that wanted to sing could not sing. I had to be willing to get up here and forget what I'm going to say, or be willing to take a test that I didn't know if I could pass. I had to be willing to do all those things to push myself out of my own comfort zone. I have to be willing still to say I don't know, or to fail miserably at something. I was watching a TED. Do y'all know what TED.com is? Everybody? You're so erudite. I love that about y'all. These are smart people. Okay, TED.com, if you don't know, you're probably a smart person already, and this will really feed your soul. I was listening to a lady on TED.com, a brilliant woman, and she was talking about TED.com, which is essentially people who are experts in their field or sort of cutting edge in their fields. They come and do these short 20, 25-minute talks. And she made the amazing observation that TED.com is a conglomerate of failures. Because everybody who had made it to that point in their field, they had failed dismally dozens of times. In their research, in their technological efforts, all of it. They just kept failing and kept getting back up and staying in the game. So I'm not saying we have to fail. I know that word has kind of a thing around it. But what I do want you to hear is you do have to push past your comfort zone. The thing that comes with that, of course, is fear. And so what I'd like for you to remember is if you're feeling fear in your life, celebrate it. It means you're out of your comfort zone. It means you have pushed past the thing that's keeping you the same and moved into something that can co-create your next you. Rebecca, does that make sense?
Such sense.
Okay, good.
I feel it.
You feel it?
I feel it.
Okay. You're a great cook, but your sweetheart falls in love with you the day you set the stove on fire with your creme brulee. You're a smart lawyer, but your kids adore you because you make scary faces. You've just been elected president of the board, but your best friend says, you fooled them, didn't you? Make peace with yourself once and for all. Love is not a meritocracy. What that means is that it's your very humanness, it's your very willingness to live out loud, step out beyond where you currently are, and maybe stumble once or twice. It makes you lovable. You don't have to wait for there's not like a certain point at which it's okay for you to take a risk. That time is now. If you're waiting for something, you're caught in a trap that says, if I can do this, then I'll do that. But But this isn't the Olympic trials, this is the Olympics. I think it was Emerson or Thoreau that said, most men lead lives of quiet desperation. They go to their grave with their songs still in them. Don't do that. Don't do that. Do this instead. Step out. Try something new. Reach out. Anything. It doesn't matter what it is. Because what I know is that there is a power and a presence and a wisdom that is supporting and moving you along in the direction of your greatness, of your wholeness, of your completeness. Now the truth is, of course, that you're already all those things. But the more you step out, the more you actually get to consciously know it. And the more you get to know it, the more fun life gets. Does this make sense? So raise your hand if you're willing to make a mistake this week. Just checking. Hey, stick that baby's hand up too. Ready? I want to leave you with this quote. Now, guys, you can probably, where are the guys? Guys? There, oh, there's two. Where's Buddy? Yeah. That's all right. Who needs a smart alecky bass player anyway? Okay. So this is a pretty common story, but I think it's beautiful, and I think it completely captures this point. So you can keep your eyes open or closed. But whichever you do, I'd like for you to hear this with your heart and not your mind. An elderly Chinese woman had two large pots. Each hung on the ends of a pole that she carried across her neck. One of the pots had a crack in it, while the other pot was perfect and always delivered a full portion of water. At the end of a long walk from the stream to the house, the cracked pot arrived only half full. For a full 2 years, this went on daily, with the woman bringing home only 1.5 pots of water. Of course, the perfect pot was proud of its accomplishments. But the poor cracked pot was ashamed of its own imperfection and miserable that it could do only half of what it had been made to do. After 2 years of what it perceived to be a bitter failure, it spoke to the woman one day by the stream. I am ashamed of myself because this crack in my side causes water to leak out all the way back to your house. The old woman smiled. Did you notice that there are flowers on your side of the path, but not on the other pot's side? That's because I have always known about your flaw. So I planted flower seeds on your side of the path, and every day while we walk back, you water them. For 2 years, I have been able to pick these beautiful flowers to decorate the table. Without you being just the way you are, there would not be this beauty to grace the house. Let's pray. So I'm just so deeply grateful in this moment that I don't have to do it right all the time. And that actually I remember in rare moments, but more and more frequently, that the universe, God, life depends on me to make mistakes. For it is by this very process of error, or what appears to be error, that new life comes forth. New possibilities arise. What I know and what I remember is that anything we call an error, anything we call an imperfection, anything we call a mistake, all of it happens within the life that is God. There is no place, no thing that can happen or that is that does not contain the very presence and power of the divine itself. And so I stand in this moment and I affirm that what the hell, I'm going to live a little bigger. I'm going to live a little more out loud, a little stronger. And I am supported in these actions, and I am celebrated as I do this. And I know if it's true for me, it's true. It's true for every person here. Because what is true about God and life is true about all of life and everyone who's living it. And so
it is.